Hello. Welcome back to Road Tripping with Rachel. I'm Rachel. Thanks so much for joining me on a road trip. So I thought it would be fun to do a little bit of a chit-chatty car drive. I am hopping in the car. It's a Sunday afternoon. I just basically wanted to get out of my apartment. I'm a single lady who lives by herself. And sometimes, even if I'm not going out to spend money and my intent is to not spend money, I like to just get out of the apartment every so often. Sometimes those four walls, they kind of start to close in on you just a little bit. So I just wanted to have some fun. We're going to run over to the next town and I'm going to poke around Target. They just put a Target in a town that's only 25 minutes away versus almost an hour and a half. So I'm going to go to Target because I can. But chit-chatty, kind of some of my thoughts on my next blog I'm going to be releasing here. Hopefully I'll finish it up this week. But I just kind of want to talk about utilizing social media when it comes to churches and small groups. So if you have been, if you're involved in a church of any substantial size, and by substantial I mean 30 people or so, maybe more than that. If there are more individuals than just your family, then you should really be utilizing social media. So this is going to be geared much more towards the small group leader and the church at large. But these are just my thoughts as someone with a background in Christian education of why I think you should really be utilizing social media. And one of them is that everyone is on social media in some way, shape, or form, whether they watch YouTube or they like to stream services or they have a Facebook account, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, anything. You need LinkedIn is another one. You do really need to make use of social media. Why? Because it's free. And if you have been in church life in any way, shape, or form, particularly the Baptist, because I'm a Southern Baptist, so I can come down pretty hard on them over this, is that we like stuff that's free. Why? Because one, churches tend to be tightwads. Don't get me wrong, churches are very giving, they're very loving people. However, Baptists in particular are notorious for not spending money on things that they should really be spending money on, and then not necessarily utilizing the stuff that is free for them to be using, right? So social media, it's free. Now we can get into the importance of marketing and branding, that's a whole nother discussion. I don't actually have a background that is in marketing or branding. However, I have worked in higher Christian education now for almost 4 years. I worked for a large Christian book publisher previously, and then I have attended institutions of higher Christian education that really utilized social media as it was growing. So Instagram was just becoming a thing whenever I was in college. So I have been around it. Obviously, I make use of social media because if you're following me on my YouTube videos and you're subscribed, you're going to see at the end of each video I give you my Instagram handle. So if you want to see photos and things and stuff that I do, it's all right there. You get a bit more of a peek into my life. So it is marketing and branding and that kind of thing. So the church at large, yes, you need to settle on your marketing scheme and you need to have a very distinct brand. You should have a standard that you're operating within. So you should have specific fonts that get used. You should have a schedule of when things are going out. You want to craft your own unique style, colors, something that people can rally around, your own emblem. If you've noticed on my videos, at the end and at the beginning of all of my videos, I have my logo that I created, and so it's an R for Road Tripping with Rachel. I've got blue and green and pink that are all a part of it, and if you notice on my videos, the background colors, it's always the same thing. Now, when it comes to my Instagram and my Facebook account, because I have Facebook, yes, I do utilize it, yes, because I have photos and stuff, and I like to keep up with all the older ladies that I grew up with, and I'm friends with a couple of people who I was in college and high school with, who they're still pretty active on Facebook, so I'm able to keep up with a lot of things there. But basically you'll see, at least as far as my channel goes and as far as my blog goes, like my fonts and my color scheme and my logo, it's on everything because it's something that people can rally around. Now, when we're going like broad spectrum, talking about the church, yes, like your pastor, creative arts director, like whoever is in charge of that, like that's for them to decide. Okay. However, small groups can also be utilizing social media, and not just on your personal accounts. A good idea that you can use is your small group or your Sunday school class, like your children's department, youth department, that kind of thing. You can actually be utilizing social media yourselves. A lot of people don't think about the importance of having multiple accounts and then linking those accounts together, particularly with like Facebook, if that's kind of the level that your church is on. But you can also have Instagram handles for all of the major ministries or major age groups that your church has. So like college, specifically I would say like college and career, you should really have an Instagram page or some kind of group that your participants who are a part of that group can be interactive on, and that way they can get updates and things like that. I know a lot of churches fully jumped on the like email and prayer chain bandwagon several years ago. That's great. I'm just telling you, as a almost 33-year-old millennial, I look at my email. I don't live on my email anymore. So I mean, like I used to get this church list and I was like, this is great. None of this actually pertains to my age demographic. It's great. Don't get me wrong. I care very much about Aunt Sally and the surgery that she is having on her big toe. You know, it's very important, but that is not necessarily something that needs to go out to like the wider group of people. If you're like college and career aged, bring all things to the Lord in prayer. Not necessarily something that needs to be widely distributed for the entire church to know about. There you go. It's also important that you talk about who specifically you are attempting to market to. Now, if you are handling social media for the entire church, in that case, your market is going, so to speak, the people you are trying to appeal to are going to be the people who are going to be shopping for a church. And then like internally, you're going to be wanting to make sure that the people who are members of your church are able to see the things or like major announcements. Like if you have a trunk or treat coming up, if you have Christmas coming up, like what the wider ideas are. Those are things that you should be putting out there for the church at large and for the people who are going to be looking to join your church. A lot of churches, they are going, if someone is church shopping, they are going to be looking at your social media handles. They're going to be looking online. They're going to check out Google. I'll just tell you, whenever I travel, if I'm going to be gone over the weekend in like a different town, like if I go on vacation or something, or if most of you know, my best friend and I, we normally will take a girls' weekend like in May, normally at some point. I was in Eureka Springs, Arkansas earlier this year. Last year, I actually was down in Branson, and I get on and I look to, when I was selecting a church to attend, I was looking, I didn't even consider a church that didn't have a website because I wasn't going to be able to go on, check out like times that they were going to be open. I wasn't going to be able to get an idea of like, okay, so what's their general dress code? Most churches, you know, they're pretty lax anymore, but occasionally I have walked into churches where I was like, oh crap, I should have worn a dress. Like, does still happen, okay? So being able, the church at large, being able to have that is very important, and your market is going to be the church family at large as well as people outside of your church. If you are going to be utilizing social media though for a small group or for a Sunday school class, then you need to go on ahead and make sure that you are using that to appeal to the people who are supposed to be a part of that particular demographic. So, and that also means like selecting the type of social media that you're going to be using. So, for example, not that there are older people who aren't on Instagram. However, majority of some of our older people who are like my parents' age, you know, later 50s and into their 60s and older, it would probably be better for you to utilize Facebook. Why? Because that's where a lot of them are at, and they're on. They like to share articles. They like to hop on and share all their memories. They like to get on there and do a lot of commenting on things. They share a bunch of things. Like, that's a great place for you to be. Now, if you are trying to appeal to someone who's like my age, you know, the people who are married with kids, or even like singles, like most of us, we're going to be on Instagram and TikTok. I'm just telling you, like, We have Facebook accounts that we get on and we look at, mainly for the same reasons that I still maintain one, and that is because, like, we got family members that's how they keep up with us. Like, that's how we function. But you can utilize something like that. And especially if you want to make use of something like Canva. Canva, I mean, it's free. It's not sponsored. I do use it. I really like it. For the novice social media user who is like trying to get her content out there and like be consistent with my branding, Canva's a great use. If you're more advanced, then of course you can make use of other companies like Adobe, which of course, not sponsored. Definitely, I'm not big enough to be sponsored, but those are just some products that I know of that are out there to be used. So make sure that you're utilizing different types, make sure that it's appropriate for the demographic, and make sure that you know your market. So, and that you're sticking with your branding. So I would say, like, you should talk to whoever's in charge of the overall social media for your church, if you haven't. And if you don't, talk to them about creating some. But because you can link like Facebook and Instagram, you can link them. You can go on ahead and you can begin to like say like, okay, so these are the things that need to stay the same across the board, and then we can always change and update the content. So like for someone who's my age, early 30s, actually headed into my mid 30s now here later at the end of the month. But one of the things that I find super helpful though, like when I'm looking at social media, is knowing like, hey, here's this event that's going to be happening. Hey, here's what the content of like the Sunday school lesson is going to be. This is what we're discussing in small group. It's a great way to highlight your ministries, because if you're looking at small group, you're not necessarily attempting to sell your group to the world at large. You are specifically attempting, or should be specifically attempting, to draw in the people who are already attending, who are a part of the congregation. You are appealing to the congregation itself. Not that there aren't going to be people who find you who are from outside of the church and then they end up attending because of the small group content that you create. But generally speaking, social media within the church at the small group or Sunday school level is going to be geared towards like the people who are already attending the church. Another great place that you can really utilize this is going to be, especially like if you have children's programs. Of course, you want to make sure that you have permission before you start posting a bunch of pictures of like kids or teenagers. It just needs to be understood that that's something that's going to happen, or make sure that's a conversation you have with parents. But you can go on ahead and you can be utilizing social media, especially because then that keeps parents up to date on what their kiddos are learning and doing, and it helps them prepare so that way they can be actively having conversations with their some of their children. Maybe at one point I worked with a church while I was in seminary, and I was like in their preschool area, and they had what they called baby jam, or no, I called it baby jam, but well, no, I take that back. It was baby jam, because of Jesus and Me, and so they had like kids jam and baby jam, and so I called my kiddos like the baby jammers. But I created a Facebook page for them that they were able and then I would post pictures like every week, like, hey, this is what we're going to be talking about, or would use it as a way to prep parents for like, hey, these are what we're going to be doing. Like we grew flowers at one point, like I had like different things that I would do and that I would post about, but parents were able to see like what their preschoolers were doing of like 1 to 3 years old. They were able to get on and they were able to see, they knew exactly what I was doing. I didn't include kids on any of those posts, because I didn't have permission from the parents to do some of that. So that's another thing that you can really be doing. Now, as far as Facebook and Instagram are probably the two big ones that most churches would probably be able to easily utilize. I think, this is my own opinion, I think with like college and career groups and with the like high school, middle school age demographic here, I think it would behoove churches to maybe consider what it would look like if you created a TikTok. Now, TikTok can be a great resource, however, you have to have the time to do it well. It's not as easy as being able to just create a like a post that you would on like Facebook or on Instagram. TikTok is all video based, so you have to be able to do it and do it well. I would say you would want to have that to complement maybe like an Instagram, but that would be a decision that you and your church would have to make. These are just some of my general thoughts on the whole social media thing whenever it comes to churches and small groups. I think it's a really great idea. I have both an Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and a TikTok that my office at the institution I work at runs. That's all geared towards admissions. The Instagram is new. We got away from Twitter there for quite a while, mainly because we did not have anyone who was able to like easily keep up with it. But I spearheaded us completely redoing our Instagram here a year ago, and we've brought it to where it's much more like up to standard for like our brand. So like the colors I have, here's like our font, here's our colors, and then I have our mascot on like everything. I've talked to our marketing department about that, so they know like my feelings on this, that I'm like, I want our mascot on everything. So I would say like if you have an emblem or your church has like a logo, you need to have that church logo on everything. If you have a specific logo that is going to be geared towards your church or your particular group, I'm talking more like your children's, babies, maybe college and career, high school. If you specifically have something that is geared towards that, I would say you need to make sure that it's on everything and that you're sticking with like the color scheme. That way, like it's easily recognizable for the people who are looking for your branding. So just my thoughts on the whole issue. I think it's something that all churches should be definitely looking at and utilizing because, like I said, it's free. Okay? Like it is a free service. It is not a good idea to not utilize the things that are free for you to use. And although you can open things up as a business account, you can link different profiles, you can make use of some of the stuff that's free, like with Canva. Like I said, not sponsored. However, that's what my office uses because it's free. It's free. And then if you find that it's really helpful for you, you can go on ahead then and start utilizing it by paying for like a subscription to some of your things. If you wanted to go on ahead and think about doing a YouTube channel, I know a lot of churches with COVID-19 turned to creating YouTube channels or even doing Facebook's lives. That's something else that you can really be considering. The church I currently attend, they do the Bible study is actually done live. On Sunday nights and even on Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, it is more open, like it's an open link, but on Sunday mornings, the link is reserved for people who are members of like the group on like Facebook. So like the church as a whole has like a massive Facebook group that people can be a part of if they want to be able to join in on Bible study, like if we're out on vacation or things like that on a Sunday morning. That's just another thing that if you really wanted, you could do. There were a couple of times where the church I was attending during COVID, they would actually do, we would have like some Zoom meetings, and that was how like we really utilized being able to still, get together without actually getting together. So just my thoughts. Wanted to toss out a couple ideas. If you've got other ideas that you think that might benefit other people, or if you just have questions, I am not an expert in marketing. However, I know what looks good and I know when something's consistent. I can look at something and say like, yes, I think this is consistent. I think this is the messaging that's coming across. And if that's not, then that's a problem. So I am always happy to chat with anyone about their branding and like what they're doing. Like I said, I don't have a background in marketing. However, I have enough experience at this point to be able to say like, yeah, that's a good idea, or no, it's not. So I hope that you find this helpful and that you are able to get something kind of out of this with my general thoughts. A little bit chit-chatty, but hopefully that you've enjoyed it. You can also see more of my thoughts as they are more outlined in a proper format on my blog, roadtrippingwithrachel.com. Yes, I was an adult and I purchased my domain finally. So roadtrippingwithrachel.com is a real thing. I have the same handle for Instagram if you'd like to follow me there as well. I look forward to seeing you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.